Welcome to Breath. This month, we focus on one of your most powerful internal tools that you have at your disposal to prime your brain and body for whatever environment you find yourself in. Now, oftentimes, when we're talking about breath or when you've encountered breath, generally there's a lot packed on top of it. There's some mysticism, there's some guru stuff, there's some marketing, there's a lot of overhype and overpromises. This month, we strip all of that away to really focus on the two elements that you can control when you're breathing. You can direct your attention when you breathe in a specific way to elicit a specific effect, or you can be intentional about how you're breathing, again, to prime your body for whatever effect you want to achieve, whether you want to have more energy or you want to be more calm and present. So we strip everything away and we focus on what works. Now, there's a really important point to talk about when we're talking about breath, and it's this idea of state change versus trait change. Now, state change is I take a couple of breaths and I feel calm and I'm on my mat and everything is good, and then I leave my mat or I leave my breathing practice and the effects of that breathing goes away. That's temporary. Trait change, on the other hand, is can you breathe in a way that stays with you? The effects of it, the equanimity, the calmness, the presence stays with you once you've stopped engaging in that practice. Now, the research shows, and I'm saying this not to discourage you, but to take some of the pressure off of you this month. The research shows that in order to achieve true trait change, it requires two things. Generally, it requires over 20,000 hours of lifetime cumulative practice of breath work, and that paired with a multi-year long silent meditation retreat. Now, I recognize if you're like me, you don't have that amount of time. But what's cool is that we have isolated the two practices, both the mindfulness breathing and the loving kindness are the two practices that in a relatively short duration period of time, on the order of a few days or a week, you start to see some benefits of a state change or a trait change, it stays with you past the practice. Furthermore, we're asking you to once a day identify a period of time where you can engage your breath, whether it's up-regulating or down-regulating, to better map your body to the environment or the challenge that you're facing. Now, that practice works every time, but you're also not only working on that practice, but you're also working this month on identifying when is the appropriate time to leverage this internal tool that you have to best prime your body for the situation you face. So there's a lot going on this month, but recognize that we've stripped all of the superfluous stuff away to focus just on the essential elements this month. If you find yourself disengaging or you find that something is too challenging, go back to the smallest step possible. And the smallest step that you can take this month is one single breath. Take one full breath in, one full breath out, and just savor the effects of that. See what that does to your body, and again, allow that to be the entry point to re-engaging with this month's challenge. I'm excited for the benefits to be had, the work that you're going to do, and look forward to talking again soon. Cheers.
The breath challenge was, here's your human owner's manual 101. Step 1, take in oxygen.
The breath challenge for me was enlightening.
Breath work is the challenge that I go back to the most routinely. I use that almost every day.
The impact that breath has in general to your physiology was fascinating and not something that I had ever thought about before the breath challenge.
I've been breathing every day, but there was a whole aspect of breath that I wasn't tapping into.
It was most surprising that it was so effective.
I would often get frustrated and get worked up. And so I would intentionally use calming breaths to keep myself and my mood in check. And I noticed my child responding in kind.
I had always thought about breath as calming. I had never really thought about breath as energizing.
It seems so easy and straightforward. And I walked into it and oh, this is a piece of cake. And it is not that.
Lean in as much as possible to the challenge, to all the challenges.
No matter how odd it might feel, give it a shot and give it everything that you have.
10 minutes is worth it. Carving out the 10 minutes is absolutely worth it.
I have a tendency to respond before thinking. And breath has been good about making me pause to not instantly respond.
This is one of those very small things that makes a huge difference in your life.
Giving myself time to breathe helps me show up for the world.